Hi, everybody. I really want to thank the organizers of this conference for allowing us to speak. This is truly an honor for Dorin and I to be here with you today. As mentioned, we would like to talk with you for a little bit about enhancing the performance of hearing implants with remote services that incorporate artificial intelligence. Just a quick note, both Dorin and I are affiliated with the company MScDorin. I am an audiologist and senior product manager here in Innsbruck, Austria, and my colleague Dorin Balan is a computer scientist and cloud developer here at MScDorin in Innsbruck, Austria. And with that, let's get started. When it comes to hearing implants, prior to this COVID pandemic that we all have been through, all the visits were done in the office, including hearing testing, as you see here, counseling, surgical consults, and then the fitting and rehabilitation of a hearing implant. All of this was done in the clinic. And then COVID came. And as we all know, there was a huge birth, so to speak, in terms of benefits of telehealth. And I just want to highlight a few. First of all, lower cost for both the professionals and patients. There was a study that was recently done by WebMD that looked at the cost of an in-person visit versus an online visit. And the in-person visit was 93 euros more than an online visit, just as an example. Something that I think is quite obvious and that we hear from quite a few patients ourselves is if you're not around or a clinic that may have sick individuals there, there's a less risk, so to speak, of getting sick. And the third aspect is easier access to care. There was a study that was recently done by the American Medical Association where physicians stated that they were 85% more likely to give access to care at a sooner length of time and a sooner amount of time through telemedicine. So that being said, let's take a look at what a typical journey is for a hearing impaired patient. First, the acknowledgement of the issue, then becoming a candidate for a hearing implant, making that decision, the surgery, and then there's a fitting that happens, and that fitting will continue on through the life of that hearing implant, and rehabilitation to start to use that hearing implant. We'll touch on a few of these topics today. First, I want to comment that with telemedicine, we're able now to have online clinic visits, which incorporate for counseling aspects. With our surgical planning, now we've incorporated artificial intelligence in the sense that we've evaluated several post-op CT scans and are now able, through artificial intelligence, to detect location of the electrode and stimulating parameters within that electrode. So once the CT scan is made using a particular software that we've developed in combination with another company, we can identify the place and position of that electrode. And then fitting of the implant and the audio processor, that can now be done from anywhere. This software that I'm showing you here is a remote testing software that allows the hearing care professional to be able to test anyone no matter where they're from. And of course, there are apps that include self-management of hearing care performance. Now, with regards to rehabilitation, I'd like to turn over to my colleague, Dorin.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for this invitation and organizing this amazing conference. Здравствуйте всем и спасибо большое за приглашение. Я очень рад быть здесь. Я надеюсь, что вам понравится то, что мы будем сегодня, о чем мы будем сегодня говорить. So, this is the overview of what I'm going to talk today, but I guess we can just jump straight into it. Let's talk about digitalization, and specifically digitalization in healthcare. Healthcare, obviously, it's a big topic, but the digitalization of healthcare is even a bigger one. Considering the nowadays that the restrictions, it's very hard to see directly your doctor or travel. Having applications which are always available or always in the cloud, it's a requirement and it's a must for every healthcare department. And for every healthcare application usually requires or collects a lot of data. And usually if this data grows a lot, we should just jump into topics like artificial intelligence, which can solve more complicated tasks related to data. Now, this is a graph from 2019, and I think this was even realized before COVID, which is saying that actually in 2025, in 3 years, we're going to double the digital healthcare market size, which I believe nowadays it's actually doubled or tripled than what we have here. And where there is money, it's actually there is interest from the public. And when there is interest from the public, there is always innovation. Now, what I want to present you today, it's ready. It's a digital rehabilitation platform. And here are some of the main features of it. There will be hearing and speech training, immediate feedback, mobile app, which it's promoting patient autonomy because you can practice whenever you want and when you want, where it's comfortable for you, and a web interface for the therapists and the professionals, which they can intervene if there is a need for that. And quickly and continuous adaptation. This is a very interesting topic where the patients are having different levels and different experiences. And telemetry, that would mean that we always need to be updated and to know exactly what is going on so that the professionals can intervene and help. Now, let's talk about one of the smallest unit of our application, and that would be the Atoms, our platform. That's the exercises. Exercises can be categorized in 2 big categories. That would be speaking and listening. We do have a lot more than those, but that would be a simple example of what we have here. And these big categories are split in smaller exercises, which are just meant to be there to entertain you, just not to always have exactly the same type of exercising. Now, let's take one of the smallest unit, or the atom, one of the smallest exercise that you are seeing there, and to see that it's actually not that simple. The UI might be simple because you have 2 buttons. One of them is going to play an audio. The second one, you have to record yourself. And I'm going to play you one of the example.
5 часов.
So what the exercise is saying is сейчас 5 часов. Now the user is meant to repeat that.
Сейчас 5 озер.
So as we can hear here, the user is saying like сейчас 5 озер. That means the exercise was not successfully completed. And here in the middle, we have a recognition engine, which is going to take a look at what exactly happened. We can also do that on the word level, but actually we're doing it even deeper. We're going with the recognition engine on the phonemes level, because here you might find additional information. For example, does the user not hear the word completely, or maybe he has trouble with pronouncing the sound chi. And the exercise will recommend something for the later, which means I'm interested in making the user pronounce the word chi again to see if this was a fluke in the system, or actually he cannot hear that or he cannot pronounce that. Now, that's one of the examples, but we do have a lot more. Now, let's talk about the trainings. Trainings is just an order of exercises. You have a lot of them. You can combine them in a lot of combinations, and that would be that you want to give an instruction to the user, and then you're going to have a specific topic, and you're going to have a full training on this topic. Now, this is a simple one. But let's talk about something more interesting, which would be the strategical trainings. Those ones are based on the experience and the data collected from the professionals and the speech audiologists over the years. And we have millions and millions of possibilities of doing the same thing. Now, this would be about auto-generated content, which is always based, for example, on the syllable counting or the phoneme recognition. That would be some of the exercises. But then the ultimate goal would be to find the speech distortion in the speaking. And also, this will help you later on make some decision trees. And these decision trees would eventually level you up and down, and it will generate you help and recommend you always the next steps. The goal is for us is not to have users which are being, or patients which are being always compared to each other or ranked or graded. The goal is actually to have a very individual approach for every patient. And with the strategical training, I can tell you eventually the chances that two users will have the same rehabilitation path, it's almost close to zero. Now, I'm talking about this content and exercises, and I would say like the feedback that we got from most of our users is that they need more content. And this, the one in Russian saying "больше материала," this sums it up. So how do we create this content, and how do we create these strategies? We have a tool called Digital Rehab Studio, which is a digitalization and managing tool for professionals. Some of the main features of that would be content creation, content management, user management, and data analysis. And I think I can show you some of those examples. So let's take a simple example. That would be the listening exercise. It's also a very simple exercise. You're hearing something, and then you have to select the right option. There is a lot of different options that you can create these exercises. But let's see how do you create it from the professional's perspective. So it looks a bit more complicated, but actually it's not that. It's a bit easy. It's not that complicated. If you're having a bit of training and if you're spending a few hours per day, eventually you can create all of those exercises that I showed you before. So here you have even a preview of the exercise, how it's going to look in the mobile application. You can click on it, you can listen to the audio, you can create options or alternatives for the users to select. And also the audio files can be uploaded, can be synthesized, and it can be done with the help of multiple cloud providers, multiple parameters. It's really up to your imagination. Yes, you can always listen to it, you can combine them, you can reorder them. So absolutely, like from the content management perspective, this is a very powerful tool. Now, on the audio level, you can do a lot. For example, you have this playground where you can upload your audios, you can tag them, you can. It's going to be useful for you to find them later. You can synthesize the one that I was talking about with multiple cloud providers. And SSML, this is a very powerful tool, which is going to allow you to create nearly identical to human speech or to human conversations, because in the middle of the audio generation, you can change the intonation, the voices, the way things are pronounced, and a lot more. And also recording, why not? You can record music instruments, you can record your voice, you can even record your voice with very low quality in case you want to create like harder exercises for the users. Now, the therapy itself can be frustrating, especially if you're having a lot of rehabilitation materials and a lot of patients. But here we have the Rehab Studio, which is going to help you. This is going to act as a middleman, and the whole therapy or the remote therapy is becoming very easy. In case you want to have a course which you want to assign or give it to a user for him to practice, you can do that with a few clicks. In case you're having different scenarios where you want to have one course and you want to assign it to multiple users, you can do that again with a few clicks. And the other way around, where you want to have multiple rehabilitation courses to a single users. And this would be an example in case you're having different users with different experiences or different practical levels, so you can assign them specific courses. Of course, one of the interesting things for the therapist would be data, how the user is progressing, and keeping track of that. It's a must for tools like that, considering that we have so much data. You can always check the exercises per day, per hour, per month. We have something like trends or patterns. This is following where the direction that the user is taking. And with the common mistakes and the distortions, that would be something more helpful for later diagnosis if this is required. Now, we have a course which is called Listen Up, and that was digital back in the days. So because it was digitalized on a CD, but we consider it digitalized now that we can actually import it in our system, and we have it in the Ready platform. This is a big one. It's in German and in English. And here are some of the countries that adopted this course. And Russia, it's actually one of our biggest success. There is a lot of users, and they are very happy with the Listen Up content. We have Spain and we have Australia, which are working now on some studies using the Ready platform. And Australia and USA, I think they're very nice examples because we were able to have it in English, which was one of the CDs, and also we were able to synthesize or resynthesize the whole audio files, all the audio files in Australian accent, which I think people there were very, very, very happy. And we collaborated a lot with Professor Ina Koroleva from St. Petersburg to create these translated courses of the Listen Up, and also we added something additional there. She was very excited about it, and we are very thankful to her because most of our community is thanks to her from the Russian speaking. Now, the benefits of all of that I think can be split in the patient and practitioner's perspective. From the patient's perspective, that's individualized therapy. Of course, you have less pressure because you can practice at home, you can do it whenever you want, and autonomy. From the practitioner's perspective, that's, of course, this auto-generated content and courses. And then also the telemetry that we're getting the information from the users and spending quality time, let's say, with your patients. And the challenges, of course, data, protecting the data. This is a big topic in European Union, and I guess everywhere in the world, and explaining why the models made these decisions, because this conference is on the AI topic, and I'm sure most of the companies here working in healthcare trying to add artificial intelligence to your system always brings the question why this decision was made, and it's very hard to regulate. And what we are always saying, and what has to be mentioned, is that artificial intelligence decisions, it's not a professional knowledge. We are here only to help, to give additional support or complement the therapy and the rehabilitation. We are not making diagnosis, and we are not making decisions. And yeah, user engagement and the fact that not everything is fitting everyone. And that would be in case of this strategical training, for example, if you're getting in kind of loopholes where you're not, you're always practicing the same, or you're not leveling up properly, this could be frustrating. So our future direction, yeah, the one that I was saying before, the speech distortion, that's a big topic, the enhancement and recommending better paths, and remote patient services, and that would be creating self-material, like giving the tools for the users to create the materials for themselves. Child-friendly, we got a lot of feedback about that, and people are really interested and they want to have it. And maybe why not diagnosis, but that would be a medical app for the future. And thank you very much.
Thanks, Dorin. All of what we've shown you today is under an umbrella platform that we call MyMedel, and this allows us to be able to connect what Dorin has shown you with other aspects such as remote testing, remote fitting, things like that, so that we can have hearing professionals monitor the overall hearing performance of their patients. So if you look at going back to this hearing journey, our goal at Medel is to be able to provide digital solutions along this hearing journey. And within that, that all needs to fall within the Medel platform, as you see here. So as we further develop all these different stages for the patients, for candidates of hearing implants, and of course for our hearing care professionals, all of those tools, as I mentioned, will be in the Medel platform. And a question that we often get is why? Why is this needed? And what do the hearing implants do? And I'd like to show you just a user video of the power that hearing implants can have on a person's life.
Luna.
Sol.
Soy.
Sol.
Soy.
Estrella.
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 Sol.
Soy.
Luna.
Luna.
Muy bien, Diego.
¡Olé! ¡Qué bien! ¡Qué bien!
Muy bien, Diego. Podemos probar también con días de la semana, ¿vale?
Podemos probar también lo de la semana, pero si yo estoy más contento. Lo juro, ¿eh?
Me alegro mucho. Me alegro mucho. Normal,
Tiene. No.
And now that Diego is fit with the hearing implant and the audio processor, now he can start to use the platform that Dorin mentioned, and the hearing professionals can be able to monitor him to help improve his performance even more. And with that, Dorin and I would like to say thank you. And again, truly an honor to be with you today. If there's any questions, we would be happy to answer those.
Thank you very much, and спасибо вам.